Have you ever wondered how a shopping cart works in a web application? Indeed, the shopping cart is a vital element of any e-commerce platform, allowing users to gather their desired items before proceeding to checkout. But what really goes on behind the scenes? The shopping cart mechanism is primarily based on session management, wherein the user's selected items are stored and managed. To represent these items, we have a product class, which includes attributes such as product ID, name, price, quantity, and so forth. Then we have servlets, the workhorses of our shopping cart. One servlet is responsible for adding items to the cart, retrieving product information from a form submission, and adding it to the session. Another servlet takes on the task of displaying the cart's contents, retrieving the items from the session, and forwarding the request to a display page. By the end of this video, you will have a basic understanding of how to implement a shopping cart in a Java web application. First off, we need to define a class to represent the products in our shopping cart. This class, which we'll call the product class, acts as the blueprint for all the items that will be added to our cart. It's the heart of our shopping cart mechanism, holding crucial information about each product. The product class contains various attributes. These include the product ID, name, price, and quantity. Let's break these down a bit. The product ID is a unique identifier for each product. It's what distinguishes one product from another in our cart. The name, as you might guess, is the name of the product. It could be blue jeans or wireless mouse, depending on what we're selling. Then we have the price. This attribute represents the cost of a single unit of a product. It's essential for calculating the overall cost of the items in the cart. The quantity, on the other hand, keeps track of how many units of a particular product are in the cart. If a user wants to buy 3 pairs of blue jeans, for example, the quantity for the blue jeans product would be 3. The role of the product class in the shopping cart mechanism is vital. It not only holds the details of the products in the cart, but also enables the functioning of other parts of the mechanism. For instance, when a user adds an item to the cart, a new instance of the product class is created with the details of that item. Similarly, when displaying the items in the cart, it's the attributes of the product class that are shown to the user. In a nutshell, the product class is the cornerstone of our shopping cart. It's the foundation upon which we build the other parts of our shopping cart mechanism, so it's essential to design it carefully, keeping in mind the attributes we need and how they'll interact with the rest of the system. Once we have our product class defined, we can move on to creating servlets to handle adding and displaying items in the cart. Now, let's create a servlet to handle adding items to the shopping cart. To begin with, we need to establish a servlet. The servlet is a Java technology-based web component managed by a container that generates dynamic content. In the context of our shopping cart, it's going to play a crucial role in managing the items we add. Creating a servlet involves defining a Java class that extends the HTTP servlet class. It's important to remember that a servlet is not a standalone program, but a module that extends the functionality of a server. Next, we retrieve product information from a form submission. This is where the magic happens. When a user selects an item to add to their cart, they're effectively submitting a form with the product's details. Our servlet is designed to capture this data. The servlet then processes this data and creates a product object. The product object is a representation of the item the user wishes to add to their cart, complete with attributes such as product ID, name, price, and quantity. This object is then ready to be added to the user's shopping cart. The final step in this process is adding the product object to the session. The session is a conversation between the server and a specific user. By adding the product object to the session, we're effectively adding the item to the user's shopping cart. It's important to understand that while sessions are an effective way of managing a shopping cart, they are not persistent. This means that if a user closes their browser, or if the session times out, the shopping cart will be cleared. Now we've built a servlet that can handle the addition of items to a shopping cart. This servlet is a key component in our shopping cart mechanism, and it's ready to be put to work. With our Add to Cart servlet ready, we can now add items to our shopping cart. Next, we create a servlet to display the contents of the shopping cart. This part of the process is integral to our online shopping experience. The display cart servlet retrieves items from the session and forwards the request to a JSP page for rendering. Let's dive deeper into this. The servlet, let's call it View Cart Servlet, plays a crucial role in our shopping cart mechanism. It acts as the bridge between the session and the JSP page that will eventually display the items in the cart. The process begins when View Cart Servlet retrieves the items from the session. Remember, the session is where all the items added to the cart are stored temporarily. This is a crucial step because it ensures that all the items added to the cart by the user are accounted for when displaying the cart. Once View Cart Servlet has the items, it then forwards the request to the JSP page. This is where the visual representation of the cart comes in. The JSP page, which we can call Cart JSP, is responsible for rendering the items. It's important to note that Cart JSP uses Java Server Pages Standard Tag Library, or JSTL, tags to display the contents of the shopping cart. These tags make it easy to manipulate and output the data stored in Java objects, such as our shopping cart items. In essence, View Cart Servlet and Cart.jsp work together to bring the shopping cart to life. View Cart Servlet pulls the items from the session and hands them to Cart.jsp, which then renders them for the user to see. The beauty of this system is in its simplicity and flexibility. Depending on your needs, you can add more features to your shopping cart, such as the ability to update quantities, remove items, or even integrate with a database for persistent storage. And there you have it. Our display cart servlet is now ready to show the contents of our shopping cart. This servlet, along with the others we've discussed, forms the backbone of our Java-based shopping cart mechanism, ready to provide a seamless online shopping experience. Finally, let's create a JSP page to display the contents of the shopping cart. This is where we'll see all our hard work come together, as we visually represent what's inside our shopping cart. Creating a JSP page or a Java Server Pages page is pretty straightforward. Think of it as a regular HTML page, but with some extra Java superpowers. It incorporates Java code and JSTL, or Java Server Pages Standard Tag Library tags, to manipulate and dynamically display data. In the context of our shopping cart, this JSP page will be responsible for showing all the items that a user has added. It's like the mirror that reflects the contents of our cart back to the user. To create this JSP page, we'll start with the basic structure of an HTML page. Then we'll use JSTL tags to iterate over the items in our shopping cart, which we've stored in the session. The JSTL for each tag is particularly useful here. It allows us to loop over collections of data, just like a for each loop in Java. We can use it to traverse through each item in our shopping cart and display its details on the page. But what's the role of this display page in our shopping cart mechanism, you ask? Well, it serves as a vital checkpoint for the user. It allows them to review what they've added to the cart before they proceed to checkout. Moreover, the display page gives the user an opportunity to make changes. They can decide to remove an item, change the quantity, or even continue shopping before they finalize their purchase. It's like the dressing room of a clothing store, where you try out different outfits before making a decision. Our display page is now ready, and with that, our basic shopping cart mechanism is complete. It's simple yet effective, and forms a solid foundation that you can build upon to create more complex and robust shopping cart systems. Let's quickly recap what we've learned today. We started off with the product class, a fundamental building block that represents the items in your shopping cart. This class typically includes attributes such as product ID, name, price, quantity, and so on. Next, we moved on to the Add to Cart servlet, which handles the task of adding items to the shopping cart. It retrieves the product details from a form submission, creates a product object, and adds it to the session. We then explored the Display Cart servlet, which retrieves the items from the session and forwards the request to a JSP page for rendering. Lastly, we discussed the display page, a JSP page that presents the contents of the shopping cart to the user using JSTL tags. Now you have a basic understanding of how to implement a shopping cart in a Java web application. Remember, this is a basic setup, and depending on your needs, you may need to add more features. Happy coding!